You look amazing.
Thank
but
you.
How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing good. I see myself as a strong woman. I think, like you said, it's something every woman goes through. You may have certain expectations when you get into a relationship or a friendship or whatever it is, business. But now we're talking about relationships. So you can get into the relationship, have certain expectations, and things don't turn out exactly the way you planned them to. So that's where you decide. Is it worth fighting for, or do you feel like, I had all these expectations and now it's not working out, so I can't handle this anymore?
Yes, yeah.
So that becomes a decision you have to make in the relationship. And at the end of the day, we do what's best for us.
For yourself.
And for yourself, most importantly.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to encourage a lot of women out there to do, is do what's best for you at the end of the day. Look deep down in yourself and ask yourself, are you happy in the situation that you are? Because I feel like it all boils down to happiness at the end of the day. If you find yourself stuck in a situation and you're not happy, but you keep trying to find these excuses as to why this will work, but it's still not working out, then you have to look at yourself and say, I have a decision to make.
Yes.
And it's not going to be an easy one, but I have to make it for me. Yeah.
Someone said that, loving you shouldn't mean that I'm divorcing myself from myself. That, when you're in a relationship and you love someone, you shouldn't lose yourself. Or it shouldn't destroy you because you love this person. Do you agree?
I agree, and I can say that I've been in 3 serious, or I would say 2 serious relationships in my life, and I learned something from all those relationships. So I never have regrets regardless. I would never say, I regret this happening. No, everything happens for a reason, and it's never a failure, always a lesson at the end of the day. But like you said, a lot of women tend to, including myself, I've been there. You enter this relationship and you slowly lose yourself in that relationship. And that's where you start getting comfortable. And when you get comfortable in a relationship, it's actually not a healthy thing. It's not a good thing, because every individual should have their own personal lives, their own careers going on, their own dreams, but still be compatible together, still complement one another, And women, especially in our African culture, I'm glad things are changing now and times are changing, because we live in a conscious era, like my manager likes to tell me, and we live in a female era, and people are women are starting to now slowly know their value, but unfortunately there's still a lot of women stuck thinking that as a woman I need to do what my man wants, I need to be the perfect wife, take care of the kids. That's what every woman should do. Submit, I like that you mentioned submit, But if you really look at it from a logical perspective and not an emotional perspective, that can end up being really toxic.
It can be abuse.
Yeah, it ends up being abuse.
It can be abuse. And for you, because you are also in a relationship with Diamond, who's, I guess, a really big star. Did you ever feel that you were losing yourself to his public persona and his world that is so huge? And did you have to keep reminding yourself, this is Tanasha, this is what Tanasha wants, this is what Tanasha feels, beyond the huge, public person that he is?
True. Yes, at some point I was a bit lost, I would say, because now there's a child involved.
Yes.
And now I'm thinking of my son, not only me. I have to think of my son. I don't want my son to grow up without a father. I'm really trying to fight for this relationship, but I can't be the only one fighting.
Yes.
So I had to think of what's best for me and my son too, But then towards the end, things were getting rocky. Things got rocky for a while now. I would say 6 months, but we were still trying to see how we can make it work. And then it got to a point where you feel like the other person has just lost interest. And it's not because of anything emotional. I would say it's because of not living up to certain expectations he had in the relationship. It's nobody's fault. Hey, everyone's wired the way they are, you know. And when you don't live up to this person's expectations, for some people it's not easy to handle, you know. Some people, they feel like, you know what, I already have so much going on in my mind, I can't handle this because I had this expectation. For some people it's not easy to handle. For some people it's okay. You'll be like, okay. But I would say that's where things started going down, because I wanted to really be my own person as well as be in this relationship. When you love yourself, you'll be able to love in a relationship. You'll be able to love your family, your child. So it's self-love.
It's self-love
that I taught myself out of this, and less expectations for sure.
And you know, in the True Love magazine, of course, you talk a lot about the relationship and how you got into the relationship. So we don't want to really dwell on that, because you can all get a copy of True Love. Yeah. And read about Tanasha and read about her upbringing, and just a lot more about her life. So now when we talk about, still coming back to this breakup, you went on social media, you posted about the breakup, and it was a very public posting. Did you ever feel, and I feel that, you know, your generation, the younger women, very much your relationships are out in the public domain. Would you be going, you know, into the future? Would you want to have as much a public relationship? Because everybody is like up in your business about the relationship.
I know.
Did you do this? Did you do that?
I feel like when you become a public figure, there are automatically some things that will have to be public. But if there's one thing I don't want to be public, is first of all my family. I protect my family with everything, you know, everything, because they have done everything for me. So my family is not about the whole public life, so I like to keep them private. Hence why my son, I don't want him too much in the public eye either, because what if he grows up and that's not what he wanted? What if he didn't want to be on social media? What if he was not a public person? What if he's actually an introvert who likes reading books? We don't know. So I'd rather protect him from that. And also, as for relationship, I don't know what the future holds, but there's certain things, I believe in everyone's life, as much as, even if you're a public figure, there's certain things you're going to keep private in your life. Private life is a happy life at the end of the day. Whatever's public, let that be your craft. Let people know who you are, you know. So I feel like I have to choose what goes public and what remains private.
I think you also, you know, dated, you know, there are all these people you're told do not date a mama's boy. And in a very real sense, I think you dated a mama's boy. Because we see it very strongly, you know, how his family is very involved in his business. But, you know, just how the relationship between him and his father is just very, very strong.
Yeah.
And how is that? You know, like, what would you say for women who are dating mama's boys? You know, is it that she has a say on everything? Like, you need to buy this sofa, or I mean, like, how is that really?
I would say first, obviously, respect. All mothers should be respected at the end of the day, you know. So respect them, but also it can get to a point where they'll try get a little controlling, and that's where you set your boundaries and you say, no, I'm the wrong person to control, darling, you know. So like, it all comes down to what's best for you. Look at you, what's best for you, you know. Don't disrespect anyone's mother. Never disrespect them, actually. Always show them respect, but set boundaries if you feel like it's becoming too much now. And try and set them in a respectful way in the beginning, you know. And if you feel that it's not working and you feel like you're trying everything you can, but there's no progress, that's where you have to now look deep within yourself and make a decision and say, look, am I gonna take this BS or am I gonna leave? He or she should also take initiative and say, hey, look, this is my woman, this is my man, you know, and do not cross certain boundaries, you know, or do not make her feel uncomfortable, and vice versa, you know.
So there's the issue about the car.
Yes.
It's all over in social media.
Oh, really?
Was that car,
Oh,
you know, like
gosh.
what's going on with the car?
People really focus on the wrong things. Well, the car is in Tanzania, obviously. I had no interest in taking it. I have my car here. I have my BMW. It's actually in the garage. It's messed. I've not taken it out for a while. All this Corona stuff going on. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna leave a relationship and be like, oh, I'm taking the car, or I'm taking this. No, you can have all that. I can get myself a car. I can get myself what I need.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Yeah.
And I think it's good that you talk about that, because when the two of you got together, you know, I also saw some comments about, you know, are you in this for the money? Are you in this for the fame? Why are you in this relationship?
Obviously.
They're, you know, coming from the background of he had, I think one other very public relationship, or two other public relationships. And so, you know, being able to be your own woman in terms of what you earn and how you earn, and you know, and even now as a musician, maybe you can speak about that.
Back to the media and the blogs. They're always going to see things from their perspective, you know. Whether you do good or bad, they're always going to have something to say. As long as I know that I was genuine in that relationship, I was genuinely in love, I genuinely gave my all, I was willing to go the extra mile in terms of even business for this relationship. I wanted everything I had in mind. I was thinking of my family. I said, okay, I want to establish myself as in this certain career, or as a musician, let's say. I want to establish myself, or as an entrepreneur, and see how I can add value to his empire, and how we can merge, and how we can become one great thing, you know. To be honest, it used to get to me, but these days I look at myself and I say, you know what, you know your truth, that's all that matters. Whatever they think is up to them. And in terms of becoming my own woman, I'm now at a position where I'm trying to position myself. And I was having this conversation with Castro as well. I'm trying to position myself. I'm trying to rebrand myself. I'm trying to be my own person, show people who Tanasha is, because people are still not sure of who Tanasha is. So I'm trying to bring that out more, because I've noticed from the tremendous amount of love and support that I get from my supporters, they want to see who I am. And that's what I want to bring out. I want to show people what I can do musically. I want to show people that I creative direct all of my projects. I want to show people Tanasha behind the scenes. And yeah, that's where I am now.
What's your support system, I think, and you know, where do you go to for strength? Because no woman should walk alone.
Handle it all alone. Definitely my close friends and family, you know. I have amazing amount of love around me, and I feel like that's a blessing that I used to take for granted each day when I see the amount of love I have around me.
So let's talk about your message to women, and particularly young women who are dealing with infidelity. You know, I feel that a lot of women stay in situations that they shouldn't stay in. They stay longer than they really need to stay. But what message would you want to give to young women who are in relationships, whether they're married or they are living together, or whatever that situation is like, where you're dealing with a monster that is infidelity? What message do you have?
A lot of women don't know what love is, and I was one of those women. Learn to differentiate love from something else, infatuation, whatever it may be. You know, it's not easy, especially in marriages. So sometimes I even think about the women who are stuck in marriages. Try and look at things from a logical perspective. It's really hard, but this is what a lot of close people around me would try and tell me. Try and look at things from a logical perspective, because God gave us the mind to think and the heart to feel. Now, women tend to think and feel with the heart. You can't do that. That's what the mind is there for. So put your emotions up, wrap them up somewhere, keep them aside just for a few minutes or an hour. And now look at everything from a logical perspective. Look at yourself as an outsider in the relationship. And you'll be able to see things way more clearly when we start thinking with our minds and not with our hearts. Our hearts are not there for thinking, they're there for feeling. That's when you'll be able to see things transparently and see, okay, this person doesn't actually love me. He just loved the idea of me.
Your son is 6 months?
Yeah.
6 months?
Yes, in a few days.
Does it help, that you have him? Because then, I'm sure you can't sit feeling sorry for yourself, feeling sad. Any woman who's going through a heartbreak will go through those moments and, oh my God. And so does it help having him around and having to care for him?
Of course.
And take away the attention?
Of course, it helps so much. It helps so much because when I look at him, he's so funny. He's such a funny character. He's so naughty, oh gosh. So he just brightens my day. His character is just one of a kind, to be honest. I think he got my character 100%. 100%. So when I see him, I just forget everything else. Everything else, business, everything, personal. Yeah, he takes it all away.
So let's talk about co-parenting. How does that work for you? How will you? I know that you had, you were raised by a stepdad, so you were already aware of the whole blended family, which is becoming a lot more rampant, common now. So you're aware of that. And how does that look like for you when you think about the fact that your son also has other siblings from other women in Diamond's life? How does that look like for you? And will you give him access to his son and things like that?
Okay, in terms of co-parenting between me and him, it's something I'd like to keep a little bit private for now because it's still something in the works. But in terms of his other siblings, I do eventually want him to grow up knowing his brothers and sister, So yes, I do definitely see myself getting in touch with their mothers eventually when I'm ready. And have my child and have their siblings all grow up together, or at least know of one another, because I feel like that's important, because they might grow up hating us mothers too for keeping them away from their own brothers and sister, So I'm here thinking about my son, nothing else, strictly thinking about my son and what's best for him. And eventually, yes, that's something I do that I would want to happen from my end.
Next relationship, I know it's too premature to talk about it now. You've got so much.
Oh, no more relationships.
No more relationships for now.
Definitely for a while, maybe 2-3 years, who knows, longer. For now, I'm married to my grind, basically, and my
So let's talk about your grind. You just said you're married to your grind. What can we expect from Tanasha past April 2020 going forward?
I expect a lot of things. I've been so blessed, really blessed to be working with big names in the African industry and even internationally. And surprisingly, I've approached some of them, but a lot of them have been approaching me. I'm doing something in the works with a big South American artist, with a big Nigerian artist that we all know as well. 2 of them actually, 2 big Nigerian artists and a big dancehall queen. So I'm really blessed in terms of collaborations. Expect also 2 big solos from me this year, because people want to see a solo. They're like, we're tired of these collaborations, we want to see you. So expect that as well. It's unfortunate because I was meant to shoot a music video right when this corona pandemic started happening. So now I've had to put that on pending. I'm still trying to figure out if I should release a lyric video or a visualizer, or how I'm gonna come out with this project. My team and I are still trying to proper strategize on how to come up with that, because people think making music is heading to the studio, recording and releasing it. No, there's a whole lot that goes behind it. You have to strategize, you have to make sure it hits. You can't just release something for the sake of it. And a lot of my fans are really like, yo, you always keep us waiting, we're so tired of this, this and this and that. And I'm like, guys, you can never rush art,
So Tanasha, tell us, do you write all your music?
I do. I write. It's a collaborative effort at times. Let's say I need a Swahili word or a Swahili phrase, or I do need a certain word to fill in this phrase. So it's definitely a collaborative effort, but I'd say 85 to 90% of my music It's all written by me.
So what's the creative process? At what point are you most creative and what inspires you?
I would say what's around me inspires me. What I see, what's happening in the world today, and my story. My story also inspires me. My pain inspires me. I turn my pain into anger, and I turn that anger into motivation. So it somehow inspires me as well.
Yeah, because I think that happens with a lot of musicians. I mean, we saw Beyonce with her Lemonade, and that's coming from a place that you're in at that particular time. And people can relate to that.
Yes, whatever chapter you're going through in your life, take that as inspiration to keep you going.
There's been a lot of criticism about Kenyan music in terms of its authenticity. And I think we've made lots of headway right now with the music that we're currently, musicians are putting out. But can you speak about that? Is that something that you feel is there? And how do we go about making music that is distinctly Kenyan and authentic?
I feel like I've been having this conversation with several people in the industry, and I feel like we're finally coming in the right times in terms of authenticity. And I feel like what's the Kenyan sound right now? The reason why people even have whatever you've just said, the reason why people are saying that, I believe, is because of the fact that Kenyans are so diverse, even in everything that we do. We live in a cosmopolitan city in Nairobi. In every business, music, same applies for entertainment. We are diverse. You'll hear the calligraphs, you'll hear the Sauti Souls, and you'll hear the Gengetone kids doing their thing, and you'll hear me coming and doing my thing. So that diversity is what's the Kenyan sound now. We don't need a specific sound. We can give it all to you. We can bring it all on the table. Oh, trust me, starting from this 2020, watch the Kenyan music industry go up. It's going to shoot to the sky. I don't even think they're going to see it coming, because this is our time now. People are starting to recognize Kenya now. People know the Kenyan sound now, and we're just kickstarting.
So Tanasha, talk to us about young women in the music industry, because you're really big right now. So how are you seeing, the role that you will play in terms of helping other young musicians, just also come up?
I'm glad you brought up that question, because my team and I have been doing everything we possibly can to put on, especially women in the industry, because we're in a male-dominated industry. We've been in a male-dominated industry for quite some time now, and things are finally changing. Like I said earlier, we live in a conscious era. We live in a female era, like Castro likes to say, and now women no longer have to do the things they used to do back in the day. Sleep with a certain boss to get a certain deal or to enter a certain record label or whatever. No, we no longer have to do that. Now it's all about what you have to offer, what you bring to the table. It's all about your potential, your character, and who you are as a person, most importantly. And I really want to touch on that. Who you are as a person. Your story is what's going to sell your music. Your story is what's going to sell your product. It's all about you. So bring that in your music, bring that in your craft, bring that out to people. People want to see you.
Do you feel there was, maybe a year or so ago, there was all this talk of play Kenyan music. Do you feel that you're getting the adequate support from the media, from radio stations, from TV stations, from DJs? Do you feel that you're getting the adequate support, just to allow Kenyans to know your music and to get a chance to love it the way maybe they are obsessed with West African music or Western music?
For sure. Yes. My answer is yes, because that Play KE music changed a lot, because now DJs are playing our songs. Now we're embracing our own. That's why I said watch the Kenyan industry and watch our pace. One thing they say, never teach a Kenyan something because they will take it and do it better than you. We are hardworking people. We are naturally hard workers, and our IQ. Did you know Nairobi is Africa's most intelligent city? As in, we are there, So now that we finally know the formula behind the industry, We're finally starting to learn how to brand ourselves, how to package ourselves, how to come out with these activations, how to be a public figure. It's always been a branding problem. But now that we finally, first step is realization. When you realize this was where the root of the problem was, it was a branding problem. Now that we know the formula, things are changing. And I think you can see it for yourself.
Yeah.
We're really starting to embrace our own right now. So shout out to all the DJs, radio stations, TV stations, and everybody else playing our music out there, because this is what's going to bring Kenya on the map. We need to put Kenya out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.